Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the June 6th, 2024 Maryland Lead Poisoning Prevention Commission. We appreciate the attendance by the commission and the public. I'll just ask very quickly for the record that our commissioners just introduce themselves. I am Ruth Ann Norton. I'm with the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative. Let me first go to the people who made the incredibly good effort to be in the room.
Clifford Mitchell, Maryland Department of Health Commissioner.
Paula Montgomery, Maryland Department of the Environment Commission member.
Thea Williams, Department of Housing and Community Development, also commission member.
Fred Banks, Lead Program.
And Tyler Abbott, Director of Land and Materials Administration. Not a member.
Okay. I see Anna, Adam, you want to take it away there? Jacob?
Yeah, hi, Jacob Benzaken with JBG Management Commission.
Hi, good morning. Anna Davis, Commission member.
Good morning, Benita Cooper, Maryland Insurance Administration Commission member.
Good morning, Sue Kleinhammer, Commission member.
Okay. Others, is Paul Rogers on?
Paul is not going to be able to make it today.
Okay. And Jack, is it Jack or Kat? Who is the Baltimore City representative? Nicole, right?
Yes, she has not, we don't have confirmation yet. We're still waiting on the approval.
Okay. And then Jack, is it you or Theo?
It's Theo.
Theo, okay, thank you. And I think that's it. And Adam is on, right? Well, we appreciate that, and welcome to the commissioners, welcome to the public who are on. Wendy, if you don't mind, pull up the, I think the next thing is to, I think we've got, is it new business or minutes first, I think, and we will do the approval of the minutes. I don't know if folks have had a chance, hopefully, to review the minutes. If anyone has an amendation to the minutes. If not, please make a motion to adopt the minutes.
Move to adopt the minutes.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Wendy, the minutes are adopted for the record. We did invite the EPA Technical Assistance Center for Region 3 to join us today. I don't think we ever got a response back from the TICTAC. I will say, if there is anybody on from the TICTAC, please let us know. But I will say that GHHI is adding to its website a landing page for thriving communities. So it's ghhi.org/thriving communities. You'll also see this on the EPA website. We will be putting the information for the region on the technical assistance centers there. And the reason I wanted them to come is they are giving a lot of good education and capacity building support for organizations wishing to take on the lead issues and issues around water, soil, air, and paint. So we will invite the University of Maryland to come back at a future time to do that. But we are starting to open up that portal for the Thriving Communities work, just to remind the public that GHHI and its partners through Howard University, Delaware State, Children's National, and others, and a 11-member advisory board from throughout the region, led by Jackie Patterson from Chisholm Legacy and Latricia Adams from Young, Gifted, and Green. We will, in partnership, be launching an August 1st opening of the portal for community organizations to apply for dollars to support actions from around the environment, equity, health, climate, tenant counseling, all sorts of work that may happen around supporting many of the efforts of the state of Maryland. And we will share that with commissioners and with the public. There will be a series of Baltimore meetings. And I just got off the phone with the Region 3. In July, there will be a rather substantial Region 3 visit to the Brooklyn, Curtis Bay area of Baltimore. Lead will be an important part of that meeting. We will share that with commissioners and with the public. Certainly, I'm sure MDE is involved in this. The regional administrator, my understanding, will be coming to that. And so there'll be an opportunity to really think about a lot of the federal Inflation Reduction Act resources that'll be available. Also, the public may have seen the governor issued a all of government climate executive order the other day. Many of those actions that will happen under the climate mitigation work will be impacted and will have to work with lead programs. There was part of the executive order was to advance a zero emission heating standard in buildings, or zero emission standard in buildings and residences. It does mean rehab programs will have to be thinking about that as they move people from gas to electric, and as they think about the disturbances that will be caused by that. And I know that the state is going to be pursuing, I think they are the monies for lead as others, and thank Baltimore City for going over that last time. One of the things I want to do this summer is work with MDE and try to meet with each of the current commissioners, so that one thing that we had hoped to do in this session, I think we're off in July and August. Is that right? Wendy, am I correct about that?
Yes, July, August, and December.
And December, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So July and August, school will be out for a bit. We had kept it, the meeting in June, because until basically March 30th, when HUD named Healthy Homes Month to be April, we wanted to have this available because it was Children's Healthy Homes Month. But over the summer, I want to work with the commissioners to have a really robust lead poisoning prevention awareness week, and use October for those activities in bigger lift throughout the state. I trying to get to many areas of the state in engagement and involvement on this, to look at the asset and gap analysis that we did previously, and make sure that we get an update underway on our strategic plan, asset and gap analysis. And so be hopefully working closely to be able to accomplish that while people get a little time off as needed. And as I said, we hope to invite everyone to the meetings throughout Maryland for community groups who might be eligible for capacity building, so we build a stronger network of groups. Tyler, before I know you're going to have an update, but I think you have an open bid to the public. Do you want to say anything about that?
That's correct. There is 14 days left, I believe, for our RFP for lead outreach, education, and counseling RFP. So that is available. What is the typical system called?
Marketplace.
Marketplace, Emma. As well as, I just want to highlight what you were talking about too, Ruth Ann. Tuesday, we had our first meeting to already start planning what we're going to do in October. So we'll make sure that you're involved in those conversations too, and all of our other state agencies here, so that we can have a great showing in October and really get out there and have some great events.
That is great. I'm going to introduce somebody who's going to be very heavily involved in helping to lead that for GHHI in just a minute. But Dr. Mitchell, your hand, please.
So I've been thinking about the timing of the October thing because of the number of people who've reached out on the significance of this particular October. One of the things I'm wondering is whether or not, given all of the activity that's going on around housing in particular and infrastructure, has there been any thought on the part of DHCD? I'm looking at Theo here. And MDE and us to think about looking statewide at all of the activity that's happening, particularly around housing, including Baltimore City, Baltimore County, and across the state, the Medicaid program. And it feels like this would be a good story map on housing and equity and lead to be able to show the depth and breadth historically and recently of how much activity is going on, not just on the sort of human surveillance side, but also particularly in terms of the primary prevention, getting rid of lead in the environment side. And that is not a small project because it would mean getting data from Baltimore City, Baltimore County, DHCD. But I do feel that it's an important story to reflect on exactly what it is the state is doing, it has done in the arena of housing.
Yeah, I can, I think this really ties nicely in with our Just Communities work, which I don't know if you're familiar with that. But that is, starts out as a mapping exercise, and I'm trying to pull up exactly what those components are. But one of those components is environmental justice. And I'm trying to see unequal exposure to environmental and health hazards. So I'm reading from the legislation. One of the components of the mapping is unequal exposure to environmental and health hazards, including proximity to a federal Superfund site and estimated exposure to lead-based paint, and then rates of asthma among adults that are higher than the 90th percentile for the state. So lead-based paint is a explicit component of the Just Communities process. I understand that they have engaged MD. I'm not sure who at MD, you or
Fred.
Okay, great.
Working on the data.
Perfect. So, I think that ties into it. There is, I think it's a year-long process, 9 months process to actually get the map done. I don't remember exactly it's different divisions. I don't remember the exact timeline for that. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything you guys want to add because you're actually involved in the data.
Sure. Yeah, they're moving pretty quickly. And we had one round of data already talking about, so it's, I guess, mapping out by census tract elevated blood lead levels over the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then after we started looking at the original sets of data as a whole, then they wanted to actually get a little bit higher level data. And so we're going to have a few different data sets that's all due by next Friday to the governor's office. And so I know that they're, working on it pretty quickly here.
Great. I didn't realize it was moving that quickly, so that's good news.
Oh yeah.
And then what I would add is that Just Communities designation was explicitly made both by the governor's office and the legislature to include all state programs. So there was a conversation at both branches of government as to whether or not this would just focus on DHCD programs, but it is something that can be used statewide. So I think as a result of that, and it sounds like it's moving more quickly than I thought it was. We will have some preliminary data by October then to kind of probably inform some of these efforts. That would be my response to your.
And will that include Baltimore City and Baltimore County
It's
data?
statewide.
Yeah.
And goes down to a census tract level, I believe.
Excellent.
I would like, so we will be able to see the crosswalk on the lead data and the Just Communities, right?
It's one of the components. I think there's 5 components. If I get I believe there's five main components, and one of them is the environmental hazards component, or four components, and one of them is the environmental hazards component, and a component of that is lead-based paint.
And a lot of times when we do mapping such as that, we do it in layers.
Mhm.
And so you have that,
Right.
you know, that high level with the 5 layers, but then we'll be able to layer that out.
Exactly.
Good. And then not just one other question, and we may have, do we have hands up, Wendy? I just want to be respectful of others. But,
No, we don't.
okay, I just wanted to know, how does the Just Communities work, or Just Communities mapping match up with the EJ disadvantaged communities of EPA? Are you using similar data? Are you doing any crosswalking on those at a community
I would
level?
turn to the mapping experts on that.
Oh, man. That was the first time I've ever been called. So, when we're looking at the data for
Tyler, everybody gets their day. Today is yours.
all right. So when we look at the data that we use for the EJ score, there are more data points that are being brought into the EJ score than will be used in this Just Communities. So until we have that data, we won't be able to see how different we are. But I would imagine that once we have the Just Communities data, that's something that could be easily crosswalked, as you say, with our EJ tool so that we can look at what that difference is. Because they all come through in layers. And so I would
Well,
imagine you could be able to see that.
Yeah,
difference.
it's going to make a big difference on like those communities, their direct access to climate and health resources, right? That we want to make sure we're driving to the same community. So any overlap should be noted, because it helps to think about federal dollars and a lot of philanthropic dollars that could support efforts on that. So that's
It's always been interesting looking at the maps too, and like when we have all these different programs, because you have, you know, like your HUD programs, you have the opportunity zones, you have the empowerment zones, you have disadvantaged communities, and disadvantaged communities aren't the same as the EJ communities. And so there's so many different layers going on that, I mean, it would be nice for us to kind of narrow down kind of like Maryland's
Well,
and this
I
just
think it is really great as much as we can explain it to the public, right? So communities in need are communities of need. People know, you know,
Mhm.
they're in need, or they know their communities are in need, how they get designated. What we need to make sure we're explaining to everyone is, what does it mean to have a designation that can positively play a positive role in terms of access to resources and different things, and not have a deficit kind of view or mentality that we are, you know, laying that on communities and just putting another burden designation without something there. Can I ask Theo and Tyler that in September, when we return, you should be in pretty good shape to present whatever is relevant to this commission from this work, good work that you're doing.
Sure.
Yeah, and I would like to address, you know, the point that you raised, Roseanne, is that the intent of Just Communities is explicitly to direct resources to those communities that have been impacted. So it's not simply a designation to say, you know, you are a community that's been historically wrong, but to say this is how we are going to actively rectify that wrong by prioritizing resources accordingly.
I just think it's so important, right?
Yes, I agree. And that was the explicit intent of the Secretary, the Governor, and the General Assembly to that end.
Great. Well, we appreciate that, and we appreciate staying on the focus and mission of leaving no one behind in that. So Wendy, could you mind bringing up the agenda? And as you do, I do want to take a moment of privilege here to introduce, and I'll ask her if she'll turn on her camera. But I want to introduce the new Senior Vice President of Maryland Programs, Jonette Richardson. Jonette, can you hear my voice?
I hear your voice, and it looks like my camera is on. You don't see me?
We do.
Oh, okay.
We are so, folks, I am more than honored and humbled to introduce one of our great new leaders to GHHI. Jonette joins us as the former Chief Operating Officer of Neighborhood Housing Services. Her big public announcement is scheduled to go out tomorrow. We wanted her to get her feet wet for a few days and get into the chaos and craziness and do that. But Johnette not only brings a wealth of leadership experience and housing experience, having worked with the NHS and the work that it surrounds with NeighborWorks, but working in the community on things like housing upgrade benefits to seniors and so many other aspects. She also has the distinct honor of having been a former chair of the Baltimore City School Board, helping to redirect them to the future, and the improvements that you're seeing come in part by Johnette's leadership there. The connection to what we're meeting about this morning, about ensuring kids are not lead poisoned, getting in the classroom so they can read and learn and thrive, certainly intersect. But Johnette is the new Wes Stewart, who is not leaving us, and Wes is on the line here. But Wes will have more of an opportunity to help us shape and advance our legal services work as general counsel, sharing his expertise on all things content around lead and healthy housing and the whole house approach. And Cliff, he's not going to leave you entirely, just so you know, because he loves that MDH team as well. But Johnette, I just want to give you a chance to introduce yourself and say hello to people who do care deeply about the issue of lead poisoning prevention here.
Thank you so much, Ruth Ann. It is a pleasure to be on the call this morning with everyone. I am looking forward to working with you all and learning from you all. I don't know that I can replace Wes, so let's be clear. Those are some really big shoes to fill, but I will do my part to continue to advance the work here in Baltimore, across the whole state, and I'm looking forward to working with everyone. So thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Please reach out to Johnette at jrichardson@ghhi.org. And you will not meet a better, more pleasurable, more professional individual. Wendy, can we go on to the videotape here? Looks like we have a lot of things to fill on commission slots. I know we are getting an application from Nadia Hutchinson from Young, Gifted, and Green. You all remember Latricia met with us the last meeting. And I think we have a parent that we're trying to pursue with Mount Washington and a couple of others. I will try, Tyler, I think maybe you and I could reach out to Secretary Edwards and just see if we can move some of this along.
Sure.
And do that as well. Is there anything, Wendy, you want to share about that? No, we've got a rather short meeting today, so.
Yeah,
but I'd love
so
to-
I can you hear me all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just wanted to bring everybody's attention, since this is our last meeting before our couple-month break. So we're going to reconvene in September. But in September, we have terms expiring for, I'm just going to go list the individuals: Paula Montgomery, Ruth Ann, Paul Rogers, and I think those were the ones expiring in 2024. So what I need you guys to do is, if you want to continue as commissioner, you'll need to go onto the governor's website and reapply. I will email you, excuse me, I will email you the website address that you can do that. And yeah, so, okay. And then our vacancies, as Ruth Ann discussed. So yeah, that's about it for now. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that.
Do we know Dr. Rogers' intent on that? Cliff, do you know?
I don't. I haven't talked with Paul about it.
Would you please do that?
I would be delighted.
Okay.
How much pressure do you want me to apply?
We love Paul and we love the AAP.
Just enough.
And we love you. So, there you go. But we want active participants in this. And I also, we are seeking to depending on how many we can recruit, for at least 5 to 10 student service volunteers to work with GHHI out of the Maryland Student Service Learning Governor's new service program. I will get the name wrong. I am hopeful that we get enough applications that we can have one of the students also be working with us on the issue of lead in community. And hopefully by September, we might be able to be bringing that service volunteer to these meetings as well. And I know Johnette's going to be hiring a couple of people on outreach. So those postings will go up, and we want to share those with this network as well. So we do have a short meeting today, as it is right before school lets out for the year, but really glad to see Commissioner Moore. Yes, ma'am. No relation to the governor that we know of, that she says anyhow.
Not that I know of. I do have a question for the group because I'm not sure how we can proceed. We have 2 cases right now that there have been housing issues and families have applied for a housing choice voucher program and other programs. But we've been told that the house they're currently living in has gone to legal. They're both in the city. Not quite sure. How long do we give legal to push to get these families relocated so that they're out of the lead environment?
What does
Or
that
what
mean, go
approach
to
can they take?
legal? What
I
are they
don't-
meaning when they say go to legal?
I don't know. Is anybody on here from Baltimore City? I don't know, Julie or?
And Wes, are you on here? Can you maybe give us some insight too? Or Catherine? Or yeah, we would need Julie. It's the health department, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
So
Julie's
why
number one.
would Baltimore City Health Department should have no legal purview over whether somebody can move?
Well, it's not if they can. I think the problem is the home had been non-compliant and there's been issues. So, and the landlord's not responsive and not doing it, I guess, on their own. One, actually, the fire department had gotten involved because there was a ceiling collapsed. And we keep
are
getting
we-
called legal.
Yeah,
all
I think that
legal.
the health department should have no purview over whether, are these both housing choice voucher homes?
They are not. They are both rental properties.
They're rental
We're trying
property.
to get the families applying for a housing choice
Yeah,
voucher.
so look,
which they can
MDE is about to
proceed
help, MDE is about to help this issue to put some legal services on the street, hopefully in the next several months. But Wes, are you on?
Yes.
So why couldn't these families go to rent court, get their rent abated, and we be able to, and they be able to utilize the ability to move and get them fast tracked as housing choice voucher if need be?
Yeah, all those things can take place. I think what also Barb's referring to first is just is there a lead violation? Is the city pursuing that to potentially have them return to this home? If not, you're right, we can pursue other avenues. The escrow process is not really conducive to families that are going to move quickly, though, because it's more about getting the house remediated. So we will pursue the voucher relocation assistance.
There was at one point in time, there was at one point in time in the law, $2,500 that the landlord had to pay in relocation.
Right, that's what I was mentioning. The other thing would be putting it on them to provide that assistance as well. So
And
if
that you can go to district court, fast track that 2,500.
if there is no certificate on the property, right?
No certificate or a failure to comply with the lead violation notice. Yes, Wendy?
No, that's the meeting.
It's actually
the
me.
room.
Sorry, everyone. Barbara, have you been in touch with the lead program here at MDE?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Who should what's my next step?
Okay, I
acceptable
would
for me
reach
to-
out to Dr. Banks, and you can always copy myself
Okay.
on that, so we can look into that, because, there is a requirement under the law for them to relocate to lead safe housing within 30 days. So, we have the ability to look into this too. Okay?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's the 2,500, which you can garner by going to district court. There is the mandate to move. we can try to expedite on housing choice voucher. If Angela Perry Hall is on the phone, we'll make sure that that's happening. Commissioner Skolnick.
I mean, I agree with Wes. I would argue while you're doing all that, they should apply for an escrow case. I mean, I would do it simultaneous because that at least gets them out. And I can tell you my experience in rent court is that most judges, their first response is to both parties is you want me to just cancel the lease. So I mean, that's the simplistic. I would do everything you can at the same time. File escrows, go for the 2,500, do it all.
Yep. Really. So we will, Barbara, can you come offline maybe, and we'll do a call with Johnette, Wes, and Angela, and obviously MDE, and we'll try to fast track those two families for sure. Okay. And we should have that process set up. And again, appreciate MDE for putting out to help bolster those resources on that. Anything else on this?
Just for the commission to be aware of, and Barbara may, or Fred, there is also for very high EBL cases, a fast track legal process where the city or MDE files for injunctive relief to get immediate resources, the court orders an injunction to actually order the landlord to pay to relocate the family to remediate for fast track. So Fred or Paul, do you want to describe that just for that system currently where you go to injunctive relief, just so the commission's aware?
So, I mean, we can certainly do that, but we'd be better served to, do the administrative route, because sometimes the injunctive relief route can take a little bit of time. So we can do that. The ultimate goal is to get the child, into a safe environment. So what our legal department would do is, automatically reach out to the property owner and get the child into a lead safe property. And usually when we do that route, things happen a lot quicker than having to go right to court, because a lot of times the property owners are very responsive to our Attorney General's office, calling them and telling them, hey, look, we have a problem and you need to resolve this as soon as possible. And they do work with Baltimore City Health Department legal as well, but we need to know, the circumstances and the addresses before we can look into that. So I do recommend that, and Fred and I can certainly help with that. So Fred's probably looking into it right now as we speak, because I know how he works. And so anyway, Barbara, we'd be more than happy to look into that, so we're not dragging our heels. Obviously, we want these children ultimately into lead-safe environments. It's imperative that we get them out of a non-compliant property, if indeed that's the case.
Okay, great, thank you.
Make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask, if it is not written, this all be written up? I'd like to make sure it's on the GHHI website, just updated on our website of what people should know about this process and what is available when families are in these situations. And I mean, certainly ask that it would be on the MDE website. We'll see if we can get this process also as many places as we can, because people are often searching for information. And as we're doing a new website, I'm trying to make sure that we have really helpful, instructive ways that people can access help. But I would ask MDE to consider having this somewhere that says, if you're a tenant in need, here's your 5 things. There'll be, hopefully a new grantee somewhere with legal services. There'll be these processes and these actions. Barbara, I will ask, is there anyone on from Baltimore City at all?
Yes.
Catherine, and Jonathan, if you wouldn't help reach out to your colleagues over in the health department with Barbara to see about getting a quicker response on these families, that would be really appreciated, sir.
Okay.
So Barbara, can you put, Barbara, you put in the chat your email so Jonathan, Catherine can get to you and we can facilitate a much quicker response for families in need here. All right, now we are to, I think, the fast speed dating of departments here and everything of what people are doing. Tyler, anything else that your team at MDE would like to add?
Yes, I've asked Fred to give the update today. He's got a couple items.
Doctor, how are you, Fred?
Good, good. I hope everybody's well. I'll be very quick for the, as you guys know, the updated blood lead reference level of 3.5. We've been, swamped is the bad word. We've been alerted that we have a high number of those. For the month of May, we had 28 confirmed cases of 3.5 to 4.9. Right now, staff's trying to prioritize the higher elevated blood levels first. We have our supervisors kind of putting those smaller numbers in the queue, and we'll working with Dr. Boss to get those more communications out to parents on what they can do in the meantime until we have inspectors to get out to them. We also got some summer interns with us from University of Baltimore helping with data cleaning and kind of collecting missing information. Dr. Boss's unit recently sent out a advisory letter to the labs as far as missing information. We've been working with Dr. Mitchell to kind of get more urgency from the medical labs to get us information on time. You guys discussed the outreach and education RFP. The closing date is June 14th, so I hope everybody puts an application for that. Paul is our contact for that. We're also getting ready to submit an RFP for a new analytical lab contract. I'm going to try to do a multi-year one and maybe multi-lab so we have more flexibility in getting samples back quicker and more accurate. Continue to work with our water administration as well as the daycare center guys over at MSDE for the water lines, lead in the water lines, and we're working on that project. And you guys already mentioned the 30th year anniversary, so you should get email from me very quickly. If you haven't already gotten one, to start planning on a exciting and great celebration this October for our 30th year anniversary for the Maryland's lead law. Just some real quick numbers. Our rental registry unit registered 929 new properties in the month of May, renewed over 3,600. We had over 70 compliance/oversight inspections on property owners, and we did over 44 environmental investigations. One of the things we are seeing as the reference level lowers, we're seeing sort of the sources spread out. So of those 44, only 15 of them had lead paint. The other sources were either dust, spices, occupational, or travel.
Okay, hang tight, hang tight.
Yep.
Give those numbers again.
Okay. How far you want me to go back?
The casework.
All right, all right.
Well, just the number of cases and how they broke down into source.
Okay, so for compliance and oversight cases, these are non-elevated blood level. These are sort of compliance cases that
Oh, okay.
so those were 67. So for the environmental investigations, these are all poison children. There were 44 just for the month of May that we did environmental investigations of them. 15 of them were lead paint. The remaining were a sample of dust, spices, occupational, where you had a parent that was bringing the lead into the home, and then travel, people coming from other countries, and they were more than likely poisoned in that other country and were tested as soon as they came back.
Do you know how many were spices? Because there was just a big recall of ginger spices. I don't know if everyone saw that.
Yeah. So
I mean, ginger and turmeric are all getting taken off my list, Cliff. This has got to stop.
Yes, well, and remember, it's also cinnamon, and a bunch of other things. No, remember, so there are a couple of things about these data that are interesting. One is, if you remember a couple of years ago when MDE looked at sources again overall, I believe the ratio, the split between paint and others was around 50% or so. So now if you look at these data, it's about 33% that are paint. And one of the things that we have all been saying and seeing is, as we do better at primary prevention and as we look at more kids, we have known always that we were going to pick up, especially at lower levels, this idea of multiple sources, cumulative exposure from a bunch of different sources. That's going to be harder. And I think it's one of the things we've known was going to happen, but we're now seeing it reflected in the data.
Right.
Got it.
Right. One of the other focuses we're trying to bring in a new staff person next month to focus on pregnant moms, adults, occupational lead. It's kind of something that's been a blind spot for us recently, but we're going to try to put more of a focus on that. Are you guys interested in lead certificates at all?
Yeah.
All right. So in the month of May only, our accreditation oversight processed over 3,000.
Fred, can I ask that maybe by the fall, like these general numbers that we go over, if there's just a dashboard that you could bring every time without having to go right deep, but the key dashboard, it would be great.
Yep. And so what I'll try to do is I'll report on the previous month, or I can do a cumulative list. I'll send out an email. You guys let me know what you want.
Yep. That's it.
About 3,300 certificates were processed. These are limited lead-free, full risk reduction, modified risk reduction, just in the month of May. So they're hustling over there, and technology has helped us process these a lot faster. Total 68 elevated blood lead levels in the month of May for confirmed cases. All cases or all lead reports were 174. So a good number of those are not confirmed. And these are finger pricks that we're getting, capillaries, if you will, that have not been confirmed yet. So that number may go up. So there's a lot going on in lead. We're hanging tight.
Well, we appreciate the effort and continued focus. And that's why I would like us as collectively over the summer to really get an agenda for next year on the, 3 to 5 things that we can just tackle big. Dr. Mitchell.
I think.
Oh, wait, sorry, Barbara, before Dr. Mitchell.
Sorry, I have a question for Fred. I know we've talked about it before, and I think it came up again at last meeting. Would you be able to do a breakdown of the lead levels that are greater than 20 over the past 5 years and how they're broken down? So like 20 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50.
Yeah.
And higher.
So, Ms. Moore, in May, and I'll send that to you, and I'll provide it to the group too. But just for the month of May, and we've been keeping an eye on this, we had 8 cases that were 10 to 14. 2 that were 15 to 19, and 1 that was between 30 and 44.
Okay. The rest were.
And the 30 to 44, I think, was the Hagerstown case with the Albanian family. So we're working through that. We think we have identified the source, and they should be moving very shortly.
Is that my Hagerstown family?
Yep.
They've moved. They're settled.
Okay, good. The other thing I left out was we had 8 compliance and order penalties issued in the month of May, and 2 office of attorney hearing requests. So we're getting out and getting these penalties out as well. So
Thank you.
all right, I think that's it for me.
Okay, Dr. Mitchell.
So I want to pick up on some of the things that Fred was just talking about, because we are working hand in glove with MDE and DHCD on some of these, almost all of these issues. But first, I want to give a couple of shout outs. Our staff, we do shout outs and congratulations to people. And I do think I want to recognize a couple of people in particular. First is an anonymous family in Mount Washington in Baltimore City, who provided housing for a family for, I think, more than a month, Barbara. Wow. Entirely to allow the family to take care of the child. The family's now relocated. It was a huge effort on the part of MDE, Baltimore, the Western County where the child came from, Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital, and Reva Smith. I really want to congratulate them, because this was a huge lift to get all this coordinated. And then there is a not-profit volunteer society that I won't mention by name, but just in terms of thinking about people who, for recognition purposes, just to realize how many people it takes to do even one of these complicated cases. So that's number one. Number two, I just want to give the group a sort of a case study of how complicated some of these cases are. This is an Eastern Shore case. We were contacted by one of our local health department case managers, remembering that this is one of the local health departments that is not part of our 11 jurisdictions that get Medicaid funding for home visiting. So thanks to funding from the Association of State and Territorial Health Officials, which is one-time funding, which won't be available after basically this fiscal year. This person has spent a huge amount of time, including a lot of time with MDE, with Bill Fricassee, to identify for a child with significant lead exposure the fact that there was no paint in the home. There was soil positive. There were concerns about secondary occupational exposure that was coming home, and spices, and that this was sort of a cumulative exposure situation, which was very complicated. And because it's an owner-occupied home where the family is not on Medicaid, it's a very complicated fiscal picture to be able to figure out whether the family can actually do something about the soil outside the yard and the sources inside, and how complicated that's going to be. So I think it reflects the increasing complication of some of these cases where we're moving beyond the legal framework for rent and paint and rent to more complicated situations. And I think for the commission, it reflects, I think, and both an opportunity and challenge to think about how these cases get addressed in the future, because they are not simple and they require a lot of work and a lot of resources. So the other thing I will say is MDE and MDH are discussing a transition where we would take up under the Environmental Health Bureau, MDH, surveillance for occupational lead cases, because we have a NIOSH funded program which specifically provides some funding for epidemiology related to occupational adult cases. So that's a discussion with the lead program that's ongoing, but we'll be trading data fairly shortly.
Questions? Always good work and amazing good work. And Dr. Mitchell will set up a time for you to meet with Johnette, and look forward to that if you haven't done that already. MSDE, Mangela.
She was.
Actually, I don't see her on. So we'll go to Benita.
Okay. Benita, we're good?
Nope, she's not on either. Okay.
She was on, I think maybe has had to leave because she was
Yeah.
on earlier. Okay, I think Mangela's on vacation, is that right? Theo, more to cover. You covered some great stuff at the top of the meeting. Really appreciate that. Anything else to cover?
Yeah, we got two updates.
Great.
One, yesterday, BPW approved our new list of approved contractors. Notably, we did add 2 new lead abatement contractors, so we are up to 6 lead abatement contractors. So that gives the department a bit more diversity of contractors and hopefully more flexibility in our geographic reach. Additionally, we did have our debrief with HUD. Although, you know, as mentioned previously, we were not awarded. The good news is that we did see a notable increase in our score from prior years. I guess anywhere from like a 30 to 50% increase in our points. And we are close to hitting the score required to receive funding. So it was a very productive meeting, giving us the necessary information that we need to revise our application and, you know, work with the appropriate partners to do that in order to receive funding for the upcoming round that, you know, should be released any day now is my understanding. So those are the 2 updates. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I think Jack is on as well for any that I can't.
I'm hoping in September you can report you got money.
Yep. Well, I don't know if the grant will go that quickly, but hopefully.
Oh, they move it quick. If they do a 45-day, they can start to do it.
Oh,
but
okay.
It'll be
Well,
soon,
that's good to know.
for sure. All right. If Jack doesn't have anything, Catherine, anything to report? New?
Nothing new this time around.
Okay. All right. And then Baltimore City Health Department, I think, is not on the call. So we will follow up on that. Wes, do you have anything additional to report?
Yes, I just wanted to put out there with Adam and others. We've been doing a number of trainings for homeowners on new time homeowners, new homes, also rental property owners that are acquiring investment properties, just to be aware of lead safe practice, be aware of responsibilities. So just want to reach out to anyone who is working with those groups around the state of Maryland, rental property owners, but also a lot of investor owners groups, because a lot of times those owners are taking on affected rental properties, are not aware of the requirements. So just, again, putting that out there, love you to share those with us or contact other folks that may be newer groups. So I'll also be talking to you, Adam, as well. And then the other one, just possibly for the next meeting, I don't think we've talked about it, is Cliff kind of jumped me, which is great, is EPA did lower the lead screening level for lead in soil and play areas. And so the commission may want to have that talked about and discussed, but they've lowered that level for play areas for lead in soil. So just to be aware, that's the screening level. It's not the clearance level, but that's maybe something that in aligns with what Cliff was talking about.
Well, I so appreciate you and Cliff and Mangela getting together and presenting that at the next meeting. Wendy, please note that Wes volunteered.
Okay.
But I had to just add Cliff in there for the heck of it and appreciate that.
That was a very, very dirty trick.
I thought it was very transparent. I just said it, right?
No, it's soil. It's a dirty trick.
Oh, yes, soil. Sorry, no pun intended. Do we have comments or needs from the public? Okay. Tyler, I do want to talk to you about our ability to publicize more the commission meetings as we move forward for the public. If that, I just want to make sure that, for example, we can put a constant contact communication out to the Maryland public, others can besides MDE, and do that because I'd like to increase that. Our next meeting, folks, is right after Labor Day. We come back with all of your summer glow, 9:30. I promise to be in person, Wendy. We will do nominations for our annual lead leadership awards, and it looks like they're due on 9/13. That's pretty quick, I think. So I'm sure Wendy will start to get those out sometime maybe in August. Is that right, Wendy?
Yeah, I'm going to send them out early enough to give everybody a chance to get them in.
Okay.
But I just wanted to put that on here so that everybody is aware.
Okay. Lead Poisoning Prevention Awareness Week, the 20th through the 26th. And it is the 30th year of the Maryland Lead Risk Reduction in Housing Law, and probably the most significant lead law in the country. I would love it if we did a national, even if it's online, either roundtable or some sort of meeting just to talk about the significance of law, what it does, I will remind folks that even as recently as this year, Rhode Island replicated the Maryland law. So it still has lots of legs happening. And then we will hear from MDE's compliance and enforcement team. So Dr. Banks and his new dashboard, and Paula hopefully will be a newly reminted representative to that. Yes, go ahead, Paula.
No, yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. And as we close out for summer hiatus, obviously these issues with families are not a hiatus for sure. Any other comments or questions? All right. I love you, each of you, for taking the time to care about our children, our next generation of what we do, and the equity that is provided by giving kids a better opportunity in the classroom and in their long-term health because of this work. Appreciate you taking it seriously. From all aspects of it, I want to give a little shout out to our really great responsible property owners who are so successful in helping us move this forward, as well as all of our government folks and health folks. So thank you, and we will see you in September.